the moment we've been waiting for all weekend at Highlands Motorsport Park and the Next Gen New Zealand Championship presented by Rico. We are building towards the running of the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix, and the cars are starting to line up on the grid. Stephen Mackay with Andrew Waite and Greg Russ live from Highlands Motorsport Park, and it doesn't get any better. The weather is good, it's cool, there's a high wind. We talked about that earlier in the day. How that affects them going through the bus stop, we don't know. But let's start at the front row. The Battle of the Bulls. Brock Feeney on pole, beside him Will Brown, two supercar drivers who've come and said, you know what, we like these FT60s.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, isn't it? You couldn't have written this script that the two AAA drivers, the Red Bull drivers, on the front row sharing it together. It's going to be so important, the start of this race. We've seen it over and over again. If you get that track position off the start, it makes a massive difference. But we've seen off the next row as well, some of the guys have been super fast here as well. And then the other story in this one as well is Lindblad as well. He had that crash. He's now in the test car, that they've got that up to speed, and he's now in that one too.
Well, most importantly, he's running, if I'm right, he's running the #1 on his car as well, as the now champion of the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Series. All right, getting to the bus stop. Will Brown and Brock Feeney, they've already stated there's no friends. It's all about racing. How do you see this one unrolling?
Yeah, well, you've got to look for a start on the racing line. So the outside of the track here is more the racing line where Will's car is behind us. So for a start, he's on the cleaner line, and Brock will know that as well. But it's going to be interesting to see the way that pans out as they will just be both so focused on making sure they're into turn one first, and it is going to be a game on when we watch that unfold. And you know, especially if Brock gets into the lead, we saw in that last race, Will was fighting him hard a little bit further down the field, obviously, with what happened with the crash in the race beforehand. And the other one to not disregard as well is Patrick Hoysenroder. He's been very, very quick this weekend. You can sense the confidence he's got. There was an issue, obviously, at the start of that race, which created damage for him, but he'll be fast too.
His car was damaged in race 2. It has been sorted out. I wanted to ask the question though, two supercar drivers hopping into FT60s, both of them on the front row of a Grand Prix. Does that stand out for you?
It stands out, but at the same time, it's no surprise. They are running for, you know, one of the best, well, the best team in the Supercar Championship. They are very, very fast drivers, and it's no surprise that they're able to come here and do what they're doing to put it up against some of the, you know, the up-and-coming Formula drivers. And you know, we've got Arvid Lindblad, who's on the fast road at the moment towards Formula 1, and it's not been his weekend this weekend, as he'd be the first to admit, but yeah, you sort of get that sense that it's all go.
Drivers are getting set for the traditional photo ahead of every Grand Prix we have. I've just been advised, of course, Patrick Hoysenroder got a 3-grid penalty. Now, he was starting off P3, and I go back to P6, and he's quick. But you know, when you start this race and you get into rhythm, it's very hard to pass. So what do you make of that now and his chances?
It certainly makes it a lot harder from being those 3 grid places down, but then that brings Zach Skula into the mix as well, because he's now off that P3 position. So it's all about getting off the line. That's the biggest thing. And you know, there's not a lot of race starts. Brock earlier in the weekend was talking about the fact that he's not done many race starts in these cars, so it's to be something that he'll be thinking about over and over again. I'm sure he's watched on board of it, how to get these cars off the line the best way possible. Would have done plenty of homework heading into this one.
Yeah, all right. You've got the fact that Liam Skeets, when he got into the front last year here, he controlled the race, and it was very hard to pass. Do you see a similar scenario unfolding here, for instance, if Will or Brock get that lead?
Yeah, they will be wanting to get out front to control their race. They've been in that position multiple times over the years, controlling the lead of races, whether it's in a Formula car or not. It's the same sort of style to be out front and leading. You just want to, you know, build that gap as much as you can, but it is certainly going to be all go.
Tyres will be an issue as well, right?
It will be.
This is
the longest race that these guys have done. They haven't done this longer race distance before, so to think that, you know, by the end of the stint, these cars are physical to drive. They are very, very physical, especially in the high speed parts, even the low speed, you know, trying to get the wheel turn with the amount of what we call caster, the way that it jacks the car as you're turning through the corner. So you're sort of actually lifting the car as you're turning in. So all those things that you got to think about with this longer race. So they'll be prepping themselves, they'll be ready for it.
Track limits seem to have been something that just popped up all weekend. Do you think any of these drivers will be taking that too much into account, or will they?
It's something that they've got to consider, definitely, to make sure that they stay within the track limits. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of the drivers who are running up the front ends up with a couple of warnings. And if you do end up with those couple of warnings, what will happen is you'll get to a point where you'll be, nervous over the bridge. You won't be able to commit as hard as you would otherwise liked. It's sort of like a 3-strike situation. You strike once, okay, you get away with it. Strike a second time, but third time, that's when penalties start being applied. So it's definitely something over the distance of this race that will come into play.
We talk about it being hard to maybe get past the leader if they get down and start to control the race. So other parts of this track, for folks that don't understand it, because it's an amazing track, where do you find the best place to try and get a position?
There's a couple of places around this track. Even though it's tight and technical, there are a few passing opportunities. You've got the corner after going under the bridge, which is the carousel. If you can get off the corner before, there's a good little opportunity there. Down into the forest hairpin, that's another chance. And then there's a really good passing maneuver off the bridge. So that's kind of a situation where you might want to save a track limit. If you're right up behind another car, you've got a good exit, you might be able to just use up a track limit to be able to fire it up the inside off the bridge.
Okay, Wadey, well, you've talked the talk. Now it's time to walk the walk. Let's look at your lap of Highlands Motorsport Park in the FT60.
Let's go for a lap around Highlands Motorsport Park in a Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania car. There's pulling gears down the main straight at this point here. I'm eyeing up the bus stop, looking for my brake marker. Super fast here, using the right-hand curve, left-hand curve, and then down into the big long loop here. Really important to hold the car nice and tight the whole way through. Looking for the track to open up over the bumps on the exit, running the car all the way to the outside. I'm eyeing up the brake mark down here, trying to carry brake out, locking a wheel into the S's, do a little bit of brake, bit of understeer through the middles. I'm trying to get back on the gas, out to the exit, pulling gears down into the carousel, and carry a lot of speed into here with the camber, and then back on the gas. And from here, full throttle over the sting, all the way down to the hairpin. Checking the shift lights, pulling gears up to 5th gear, eyeing up the brake marker over the bumps. At this point here, trying to focus on the exit, getting on throttle as early as I possibly can. 2nd gear, 3rd gear, up into 4th, and then 5th gear. Here I'm just looking for the entry to the bus stop, clearing the brake, back on the gas, nice and hard, lined up over the top of the bridge, then back on the brakes again, releasing the brake, carrying as much speed as I can into here, running the car all the way to the exit, down into the 2nd last corner. Easy to lock a brake here with how much the track drops away and how blind it is. Then back on the gas, a little bit sideways on exit as I'm trying to get on the throttle. And then up towards the last corner, a little bit of a lift on the gas, is straight back into it, running all the way out to the wall. And that is a lap around Highlands Motorsport Park.
There is a sea of people here on the grid. Unbelievable atmosphere ahead of the race start. 12 months ago, it was this guy that got to celebrate in a very special way. Liam Skeets, welcome. I know you dearly love to be on the grid here, but you've literally in the past sort of 48 hours jetted back in from the States. How was it?
Yeah, it's amazing to be here. Obviously 12 months ago was the biggest milestone in my career that I managed to achieve. Yeah, I nearly fell out of my seat on the airplane when I saw the results from quality. But yeah, it's amazing to be here. This is such a big spectacle and I'm looking forward to the race.
What Toyota are all about here, what this team are all about is finding future champions. You're off to do some good things in the States this year. Tell people about that.
Yeah, I'm looking to do Indy NXT, Premier Feeder Series to IndyCar this coming year. Obviously, funding needs to be put in place before that can come to fruition, but yeah, that's what I'm currently working hard at, trying to form partnerships to give myself the opportunity and have a crack over there.
That Motor Cup that was at the front with that driver photo a moment ago, there are some absolute legends of motorsport globally, not just Kiwis on that name. How cool, mate, to win this race. What memories does it evoke for you? Yeah,
I mean, I'm still speechless when I think about it. So many special names on that trophy, on such a historic trophy. Yeah, it's unbelievable, to be honest. I wish I was here on the grid trying to go back to back. Yeah, maybe one day I have another crack.
There he is, Liam Skeets, from the driver who won last year to the driver who was on pole position for this race. He's with Stephen.
Steve Brockfini joins me right now. You've got your game face on, buddy.
Yeah, we mean business. This is the big one. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's been a really good weekend. I mean, qualifying's obviously a highlight. The first couple of races have been a big learning curve, but it's all for this race, so looking forward to it.
Was it a surprise to you to pick up pole position? You know, you only got in the car Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a big challenge this weekend learning. I felt like early at the first day that we had some good pace, and it's just about putting it together. But yeah, it was only one of my first green runs sort of in qualifying, so it was a lot to learn. But yeah, I was pretty happy with my lap, so obviously set us up for a good position today.
Just briefly, there are some legends of motorsport historically on that trophy. What would it mean to have your name on it?
Yeah, it'd mean a lot. I mean, that's why I'm here. I've come to the Grand Prix for a reason, and this weekend sort of lived up to expectations and even more. So we've put ourselves in a good position here. We got a big race ahead of us.
All right, you two behave on the front row, okay?
Thanks, mate.
Rusty.
His teammate at Red Bull Ampol Racing, the Supercars champion, has been unreal in this series too. Was with us for the opening 3 events, went back for the Bathurst 12-hour. You are on the front row, beside your mate here, who you battled for the Supercars crown last year, but you're with different teams for this race. Is it visor down, game on?
Oh, 100%, definitely. It's been a bit of a tough weekend for both of us, so we've both been looking forward to starting on the front row for this one. But as long as we don't turn them into canoes in the first corner, that'll be the main thing. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Brock's done a good job, obviously, come in for one round and put it on pole, but there'll be people like Arvid trying to come through, and I think the gloves are off for this one. I don't think it means anything for the points for pretty much a lot of the top 5, so it'll be interesting.
Wonderful story was the renewal of your association with Stephen Giles, which you had when you were a little bit younger. You're not old now, right? How cool to be racing an open wheeler with him again. Can you do it today? And what would a New Zealand Grand Prix win mean in the grand scheme of things for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think if we can get the start and manage the race, we'll definitely be able to do it. If Brock gets the start, obviously it's hard to pass around here, but we'll work as hard as we can to do it. It's been great to work with Stephen again. Everyone at Giles Motorsport, they've done a fantastic job since I've been over here, and all the New Zealand fans who have come out each one. It's been cool to see everyone again, and looking forward to getting back here at Taupo for the Supercars.
Yeah, can't wait. He's been great with the fans. We'll let you go back to that. Here's Stephen with a guy who has been brilliant in this series.
And signing plenty of autographs too, but he agreed to talk to me again, which is a bonus. Champ, I can call you Champ. Congratulations, you put the number 1 on the car. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Yeah, the car we took from after this morning had the number 1 on it, so I thought, why not try and keep it on? And when I heard that I was allowed to race for number 1, I was pretty happy. So now I need to try to be on that place on the podium as well.
You feel, in a sense, there's a lot more, you're relaxed, your job done, you got your super license points. What's this race about now for you? You've won every feature race.
It's about trying to get the 5.
Can you do it from where you are?
It's going to be difficult, but I mean, there's nothing to lose. The race isn't finished until lap 27, lap 28, so we've got a few laps to try to get it done.
Okay, the laser focus is already there, right? I asked you yesterday, you might get a message from Dr. Marco, who sent you to say, go get those super license points. Have you had a message or from Christian Horner at all?
Not yet. I think I have to do well today, and then maybe I'll learn it.
No messages from anybody?
It's all right. The weekend's not done yet.
Mate, you had a good time?
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun.
What's the best thing about being in New Zealand for the summer? Winning 18 super license points, so maybe I can drive some F1 cars this year?
Yeah, I'd say let's go with that.
Hey, mate, good luck, go well. It's a big old trophy to win.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Go well, Howard. Thanks, mate.
The reaction overnight from young fans in Europe to what he did yesterday in clinching that title. The reaction on socials has been huge. Temperatures here in the low 20s ambient, 31 on track as we build up to race start. We are at that very traditional moment, ladies and gentlemen, before the start of a Grand Prix where we get set for the national anthem. For those of you listening around the venue across the public address system, we would ask you please to be upstanding fittingly for the singing of our national anthem. We welcome someone back to Highlands Motorsport Park who's been here before and done a very good job in this role. From Otago Girls, a year 13 student, is part of a band called Misstep, which has opened at the Gippsland Valley concert very recently to sing the New Zealand national anthem. We welcome Grace Tico.
Hei hoa atua o ngā iwi mataura a ta whakarongona me aroha Anakiti amai Aotearoa, God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God, defend our free land. God, Pacific's triple star, from the shafts of strife and war, make her praises heard afar. God, defend New Zealand.
Grace Tico with a beautiful rendition of God Defend New Zealand as we get ready for the running of the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix, and the drivers now head back to their cars. I'm going to grab Zach Schooler right here. Yeah, couldn't get away from me. Turn around, buddy. It's been a cracking season for you. Now the real thing is, do you think you can get that P2 in the championship?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a really good year so far, but now we're in the final race of the year, Grand Prix, lining up P3, and you know, I want to get P2 in the championship, so that's what we're going to try to do.
How hard is it going to be? How hard is it going to be to pass, do you think, if the guys in front start to control the race? Where do you feel you can get them?
I don't know. I mean, we've been doing pretty well. There's some opportunity into T9. That's been a key overtaking area. So we just have to wait for them to make a mistake and then take advantage.
How good to see Dad here.
Yeah, it's so cool. Is
that a surprise?
Yeah, it was a bit. He wasn't going to come, and then he made a last-minute decision. So yeah, it's good to.
Good luck in the race, buddy.
Thank you so much.
All right, Rusty, you've got another contender.
Thank you, Stephen. You can hear the unmistakable sound of the bagpipes in the background there. Tony Quinn, of course, from Aberdeen in Scotland. Nice little addition to things here at Highlands. This grid is an unbelievable atmosphere, Patrick Hoytsenroder. You've had a win here this weekend. Little penalty kicking in for the start of this race, unfortunately. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, not a penalty I agree with. I think it's just racing at turn one, and I've come worse off by far. So yeah, it's a bugger to come back to P6, but you know, I got a good start in the last one, and I'm not going to change a thing. I'm still going to be aggressive into turn one, and I know you need to make up positions early, so that's what I'm here to do.
You have had a fantastic couple of weeks, right? A clear step for you. You've announced this week that you're back to the UK to compete in GB3. What would a good result this afternoon to wrap up this campaign mean before you head off for that?
Oh yeah, it would mean a lot. It'd be a great confidence boost. Obviously, I picked up the win in race one, which is another confidence boost. But you know, to really stamp my foot and go off with a nice result would be good.
You've had some wonderful support from David Brabham. I reckon he's watching right now. Little cheerio from us, DB. Well done for what you've done on supporting Patrick Hoytsenroder. Have a good race today.
Thanks, Rusty.
Let's go to Stephen.
Thank you, Rusty. Well, one man that we have been talking about all weekend that's actually really he's got it together is Sean Rashid. He got his first podium earlier today. Sean, congratulations. Row 3. Did you expect you'd be on row 3?
You know, the week have been building really well, and yeah, I'm not surprised. Everything was going really well in practice and qualifying Q3, and everything was just going. It turned out well because everyone went new tires for Q3. We went used tires. We were the only ones. So to be what was originally P6 to P5 now is awesome. Really happy.
Have you got the right sort of rubber to be a chance here?
Yeah. We got some good fresh rubber. And we had a mega start last time, so we'll do it again and hopefully make some passes.
Now, you talked to me about relaxing. How relaxed are you right now ahead of a Grand Prix?
Yeah, I'm honestly pretty relaxed. It's the last race of the year. It's a really good atmosphere. We got bagpipes playing in the background. It's kind of hard not to be having some fun right now.
Smile says it all. Enjoy the race, mate.
Thank you very much.
Rusty, you've got Nikita.
Yeah, and it's about the fight for that second place in the championship. This driver's CV is seriously impressive from the United States. We are delighted that he's been a part of the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship this year. Outright wins, I know, are what you are chasing. How do you play this one? Trying to get that P2 in the series, knowing that Arvid wrapped it up yesterday.
Well, we just need to go forward right now. Zach's starting P3. He was P4, so we have to go make up a little bit of ground. And yeah, try to go get past him.
It's been a good season for you here. I think there's plenty of takeaways for you for the year ahead. You've made it clear about wanting to chase things in Europe when you and I caught up for the coverage. Hopefully a good haul of points toward a super license.
Yes, hopefully. I mean, we're aiming for that P2 in the championship for the 14 super license points, I think it is. So I really need that, and that's my biggest goal for this race, is just get out front and be in front of them.
All right, final one before we let you go. Let's talk conditions here for a moment. There was the threat of rain on the radar earlier today. Blue skies here, wind has picked up. What sort of things have you thought about in relation to the settings of this car before we head off?
Well, the wind's going to be tricky a little bit in turn 1, too, because it's going to be mid-exit tailwind. But we do have a headwind down the straight, so the draft should be bigger, but we'll see what happens.
Been awesome to have you here as a part of this series. Enjoy the final race.
Thank you.
There he is. Stephen?
Michael Shin joins us on the grid. Well, Michael, it's been one of those weekends, good, bad, and different, but now we're at the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix. Third here last year, I think, if my memory serves me correct. How are you feeling right now ahead of the start?
I'm feeling very excited. Obviously, I just got to do my job and see how it unfolds, because in the Grand Prix, anything can happen.
Do you feel like you've got an advantage? You've done this before. You did it last year. Do you think you can find anything?
Yeah, I mean, we have a good set of tires. We just got to, take advantage of others' mistakes.
Thanks for giving us your time, and good luck in the Grand Prix, mate.
Thank you. I'll give it everything.
All righty, there you go. Michael Shin, part of this magnificent field in the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix. And it's time now to head upstairs to Jonathan Green and Andrew Wade.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Rusty. Yes, the atmosphere is electric, and I think in the traditions of all 69 Grand Prix, including the one we're about to see, that lives up to the run-up and preparation for what is such a prestigious event here in Highlands. Let's take another closer look at the track before we go racing.
As we get set and ready for the high commitment technical track of Highlands Motorsport Park, 4-kilometre distance, 14 corners and 29 metres of elevation change. Super fast into the bus stop, high aero part of the track as they make their way around turn 2. And then a bit further around the track, turn 5, 6 and 7. It's flat all the way down there into a fantastic passing opportunity at turn 9 before they make their way over the bridge, airborne down into turn 11, and then finishing the lap through the all-important turn number 14. It is a full-on lap around here. And while we're at it, let's take a lap on board with pole sitter Brock Feeney. This is his pole lap. You can see him set himself up a little bit sideways on the start of the lap as he's pulling gears up to 5th gear, 6th gear. And at this point, he's looking for the entry of the bus stop. Super committed, super late into there. And then it's all about just trying to hold it as tight as you can to the white line. A little bit understeer in the middle for him before he's hard on the gas, running the car all the way to the exit. And then from here, awkward braking zone as you sort of got to brake and turn all at once to get the car stopped. A little jab on the gas before you back on the brake to get the car rotated. And then running the car out to the exit of the corner. And from here, you can use the camber to roll the speed into the corner, and then you're hard on the gas, and it's flat from here. You can't see the apex as you go up over this thing, and you pull gears up towards turn 9. At this point, you're eyeing up the braking zone, but it's bumpy right here under brakes, just as you're trying to get the car stopped. And from here, you're focusing on unwinding the wheel to get on the gas as early as possible. And then again, pulling gears, 4th gear up to 5th gear. And then a little lift off the gas. I think he was flat through there, up over the top, completely airborne over the bridge. Before on the brake, rolling the car through what's named as Lakeside. And then another awkward braking zone. You can't see the apex before you're on the brake. And then rotating the car. You can see he's done really well to get back on the throttle again. As he's eyeing up the corner, he will know on the dash that this is a lap that could put him on pole position. And it did exactly that as he runs the car all the way out to the wall. And that is the pole position lap by Brock Feeney.
Phenomenal lap and just an amazing effort when you consider that he hasn't done any of the season. That was quite superb. 2 Red Bulls on the front row. The tension is building. Let's head down to Greg Rust.
Jonathan, this is one of the most special moments in motorsport in the Tasman region here. This is a race that is rich in history. The names on that Motor Cup over a very long period of time, whether they be European, whether they be Australian, Kiwis especially, to put your name on that means so much in sport in this part of the world and even globally. That is because there are only 2 races anywhere beyond Formula One that are allowed to be called a Grand Prix, Macau and here in New Zealand. M2 Competition have rebuilt in a race against time for the champion, Arvid Lindblad, to be in with a shot of taking it to the two drivers that have come from supercars this year. And we have a huge contingent of supercars fans watching today. Can either Brock Feeney, who has hardly any single-seater experience and has wowed us by grabbing pole position for this great race, convert and do it today? Or will it be his teammate Will Brown? We have to clear the grid. Let's go to your commentators. Enjoy this, everybody. Andrew Waite, and alongside him, the voice of the game, Jonathan Green.
Great stuff, Rusty, and it doesn't get any better than that. 2 Red Bulls on the front row, and just for history's sake, Australia have 10 wins in the Grand Prix over the 68 years. New Zealand altogether 32 wins. UK 9, so Arvid could change that and equal Australia today. Huizenrode with work to do after that penalty, and it's going to get interesting between Schooler, who starts in 3rd position on the 2nd row of the grid, and Nikita Johnson, who has work to do. He is ahead at the moment in 2nd place, but he knows if Schooler stays there, he's going to lose out on 2nd place.
Yeah, it's certainly a fight for that position, number 2 on the grid, and you can see Brock Feeney there getting himself ready. He will certainly be doing a practice start here. As he pointed out earlier, hasn't done many starts in these cars compared to everyone else. You've got to remember, everyone else on this grid here, apart from a few, have done 5 weeks straight of racing in these cars. So they are match fit. They are ready for this longest race of the championship.
Last year's winner, Liam Skeets of New Zealand, was well aware of the history of this event. As we take a look at the grid, and it doesn't get more historical than this, Brock Feeney and Will Brown on the front row for Australia. Zach Schooler and Arvid Lindblad, the champion, in 4th. Sean Rashid in 5th. Patrick Huizenrode starts 6th after that penalty for causing the accident in 2. Nikita Johnson lines up 7th. Jet Bowling in 8th. Nicolas Monteiro of Brazil, after a podium, is 9th. Michael Shin in 10th, he too on the podium. Nicolas Stati in 11th for Australia. Matthias Zagazeta of Peru in 12th, for Peruvian to take part in the championship. Sebastian Manson of New Zealand starts 13th. Enzo Ye of Chinese Taipei starts 14th. Alex Crosby back for a 2nd year. He'll start 15th for New Zealand. James Lawley of Canada starts 16th. And it's Barrett Wolff who starts in 17th place for the USA. On this formation lap, a couple of things. First of all, the history. Sterling Moss, Chris Amon, Jack Brabham, Craig Baird, Kenny Smith 3 times, Nick Cassidy 3 times, more recently Shane van Gisbergen in 2021. Richard Verschoor, a Red Bull painted car for him. And then, of course, so many greats, including last year's winner, Liam Skeets. On your lap, I noticed 2 things. The lift-off on the entry to the last corner and the bumps coming into the hairpin.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot going on. You've got to remember, these cars are so stiffly sprung, you feel everything through it. So those are the things that can change your lap as well. If you don't quite get the bumps right, if you you brake on the bumps incorrectly, you can lock a tire. And with this long race, the worst thing you could do is end up with a flat spot. So, it's all those sort of things you've got to think about as we see the drivers prep the rear tires for a race start. You can see the slowing right down, getting hard on the gas, and swerving side to side, lighting those tires up to get as much heat as they possibly can into them.
So then, we await the start of the 69th running of the New Zealand Grand Prix. And as you've heard already, just Macau and New Zealand have that privilege outside of Formula One. What a moment for Arvid Lindblad. He's done it. We've often talked about how this is such a great place to earn super license points, but never in the 20-year history have we literally said this man is now ready for Formula One. As of now, he is eligible.
Yeah, that's an impressive feat. It's what he came here to do. As Brock Feeney there is super close to that line in front. You've got to have the whole car within that box, so he is right on the margin there.
Gentlemen's agreement into the bus stop between the front 2 or not?
No. It is game on. It is important to make sure that you are the first car into that bus stop. Yes, the boys on the front row are teammates in the Supercar Championship, but here this weekend they are not teammates. They would both love a Grand Prix to their name.
27 laps in all, the lights go on. Perfect conditions for racing for the 69th running of the New Zealand Grand Prix, and away we go. And a good start from the front row. And Off goes Will Brown into the lead, and that was a stunning start. Schooler trying to get on, and Schooler goes through to second place.
Yeah, it's a
Sean
great
Rashid in trouble.
Great start there by Will Brown. So he's gone on the cleaner line to the lead of the race, and then Schooler as well. He's done a great job, but Brock Feeney unfortunately didn't quite get it off the line like he would have liked. So he's back there in P3, and Lindblad, look how energized he is. He's trying to put a move on Rashid already.
Yeah, and Brock Feeney was the first to admit that he's only had a couple of practice starts. To be fair to him, Will Brown has definitely got the advantage there, but Schooler made a flyer off the start, and that's why he's in second place. And now Nikita Johnson's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and you'll see Feeney here. If he's going to put a move on, he needs to do it as early as he possibly can so he doesn't chew up those front tyres. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries throwing it up the inside, but hard to when Schooler there covers his line off.
Good racing by Schooler. As you say, Feeney will want to get by as quickly as he can. He comes to the outside now as they head towards the bridge for the first time. He's right there with him, but surely Schooler's got the advantage and takes it. But every moment that is being wasted here by Feeney is giving the advantage to Brown, and he's taking it. Sean Rashid now almost banging into it as Arvid Lindblad makes a move on Rashid. Can't do it, and here comes Huizenroder on him. Huizenroder makes a think about it, but doesn't do it. Shin just behind, then Bowling. But here we go, side by side, Lindblad and Rashid.
And Feeney and Rashid there as well. Oh,
Very
it's tight
tight
through there.
You do not want to be too wide into the last quarter.
That's Rashid around the outside, so he's got the move done, and now Lindblad.
Here he comes.
Side by side into the bus stop with Feeney. Feeney just not able to get a rhythm going at the moment, dropping back from pole position, now down into fourth place.
Yeah, no one told Brock you can't do that.
No, it's he will be furious. The fact that he started on the pole position, and it's like that sometimes. You get off the line and one car gets past you and you try to put a move on another and you just lose that rhythm. You don't get the exit quite how you want it. So he's gone from attacking Schooler for second position to back down into fourth.
Well, a racy start just as we expected. Brock Feeney in fourth position. Arvid Lindblad right behind him. Then comes Huizenroder, Shin 7th, Bowling 8th. Nikita Johnson 9th with work to do. Zagazeta rounding out the top 10. Oh, and out goes Chinese Taipei's 77 and James Lawley of Canada. Under the bridge, a strange place for an incident. Safety car is out.
Yeah, there's clearly something between those guys on the exit of that turn there.
Lawley's got going, but not very well. Out comes the Supra. Now, that does make everything that Will has done, because he had a 1.8 second lead after what was a scintillating start, and now he's got an opportunity to catch up as Schooler.
Yeah, so just take a look at the replay here. It's obviously a little bit further down. So there's a bit of a lock up in behind.
So Enzo goes
wide there. I think there might be some damage to his car there, or maybe he's just locked up and gone straight ahead, and as he's rejoined... So
that wasn't a good rejoin. He's going to get, you'd get in trouble for that anyway, for unsafe rejoin, but he's not helped Lawley at all, and that's a real shame.
Yeah,
Safety car out, and they'll have to move that.
He will certainly be in trouble for that rejoin there as he's taken out Lawley on his way back onto the track. So you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to carry the speed through the gravel trap so he doesn't get stuck, but then all of a sudden he got a whole lot of pace on the other side, and he's come flying back out on the track, and unfortunately collected James Lawley there. So the safety car is good news for Zach Schooler and also Sean Rashid, Brock Feeney, those guys, but not such good news for Will Brown as he already had pulled a decent gap out front. But still a long way to go in this race, and this is certainly not Will Brown's first attempt at restarting a race. He'll be looking for any advantage. He'll try and catch the others napping behind.
He'll love the rolling start, won't he?
Yeah, it's obviously they do roll these in for restarts for the supercar world. So, but the one thing to be careful of is the different rules around how the safety car restarts work compared to over in Australia. So I wouldn't be surprised if Will's on the radio right now, just getting his engineer, which is not sure. I was thinking of Brock Feeney there, but
Edwards.
He was out the first couple of rounds, but he hasn't been out for the last couple. So either way, he'll be talking through with his engineer, making sure, which it might even be Stephen Giles on his radio, as I saw a bit earlier on. So they're just having a look at that car of Lawley's.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was much damage to Lawley's car, but he's in there with Kiwi, and they'll try to get him back out again. Enzo Ye is safely out of the car, but that's the end of his Grand Prix, I'm afraid. And of course, there's damage to the suspension. They might get him out there, but I don't think this can be worth it. Damon Leach driving the truck as always. Big memories, fond memories for him.
Yeah. run a few Grand Prix himself,
Yes,
and
he has.
now he's got a different vehicle for the New Zealand Grand Prix this weekend.
3 of the 27 gone, and a restart for Will Brown. Schooler will be happy because he got the great advantage from that start and got up to second place ahead of Sean Rashid. Brock Feeney and Arvid Lindblad will fight it out for the restart at 3rd and 4th. Then Patrick Huizenroda 6th, Shin 7th, Bowling 8th, Johnson still 9th, and Zagazeta 10th. Now, what do you see here? Let's go down to Rusty.
Just got the okay from Gary Orton and the Kiwi Motorsport team to talk to James Lawley here. What happened from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, he locked up and went into the gravel trap there into turn 5, and then kind of just drove straight through the gravel trap, but kind of unsafely rejoined the track and just ran right into me, pretty much.
Okay, the team are working away here. Are you confident you can get back out? And what does it feel like? What does it feel like is wrong?
I mean, they're confident that they can get it back out, I believe, and probably fixed up, but depends how far I'll be back. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think that I really did much wrong there. I think that was kind of just unlucky by me. I was just driving through and he kind of just came on and hit me, so I'm not really sure.
Hard luck for the Canadian. You can see the side pot off there, guys, as we go back to you in commentary.
Thank you, Greg Rust. And as you can see, work to do for James Lawley, the young Canadian. His parents have been with him all through the 5 weeks, and it's been a big learning curve for him. He's new to FR, and it's certainly been a worthy experience, according to him. Enzo Ye's car then being pulled out of the way. We are in the New Zealand Grand Prix, the 69th running of that Grand Prix. We're under safety at the moment, 4 laps gone of the 27. Andrew Waite, your thoughts on the start? Because Schooler got a cracker and so did Will Brown.
Yeah, Will Brown just dominated off the start of their race. He got into the lead and just pulled a gap so fast on Schooler and behind there. So he has certainly got pace to burn. Even though we're only 4 laps into this race, it's sort of, you already get the feeling that it's going to be his to lose from here, just with the amount of pace that he had early on. But so we'll have another look at the restart as well. So you can just see Feeney he got the initial launch. It was just that second phase. Just looked like he got a bit too much wheel spin. You could see the car snap sideways just a little bit. And then around the outside, Zach Schooler just had that outside run. He's going to just break that little bit later and be a bit straighter for the bus stop on that outside point. So yeah, he just got swallowed up there. And then Enzo, yeah, he tried to do the right thing, kept his foot up it to try and get through the gravel trap, but carried a bit too much speed and cleaned out James Lawley. So
yeah, there's not an easy way to make that right, is there?
No. It's yeah, obviously it wasn't malicious. He didn't try to join the track where he did, but yeah, either way, it's up to him. He's in control of the vehicle. It's up to him to make sure he rejoins in a safe way. It doesn't matter what's happened prior to rejoining the track. As we watch the GR Super Safety Car circulate around. We'll have another lap under safety car from here.
It always makes me think, with a longer 27-lap race like this, we talk about tyre dead, and what we mean by that is how the tyres start to go off and there's Brock Feeney's engineer, his faithful one he works with in supercars.
Yeah, Martin, he's a accomplished driver himself too. He's won the New Zealand Formula 4 Championship, which we've seen here racing this weekend, and yeah, he's on the radio to Brock, and they'll know they've got some work to do from there after that stellar lap. In qualifying to put him on pole position, Brock will be kicking himself as well, knowing it's so hard to pass in these cars.
Safety car coming in this lap, and yeah, what I was saying about tyre deg is that with a few laps under safety like this, you start not to worry too much about the distance of the race and the tyres going off, because the longer you're under safety, the more kind of endurance these tyres will give you. So everybody's in good shape right now.
Tell you what as well, I'm impressed with Sean Rashid as well, sitting there in 3rd position. He's sort of been running around that, you know, just inside the top 10 most of the championship, but to be out running where he is, he obviously got a stellar start, so this is a huge effort from him. He's obviously gelling with this track really well, and it's just that confidence thing. You know, every driver talks about it being confident, but it's even more so important around a track like this when there's so much high commitment needed to be fast around here.
To be honest, he's turned out to be one of the stories of this weekend, Sean Rashid. He hadn't showed much up until that, but he wasn't expected to. He's come into racing very late at 25. He's just 28 now, and the lights are off now on the safety car. But it's a sterling effort from the young American. I say young compared to the others. He's hardly that, but even so, he's got a huge future if he can do this in single-seaters. Well, the world's his oyster in many ways. So, the Supra starts to head back to the pits, and now it's Will Brown in control of this race. The supercar champion currently Schooler, the 17-year-old sensation from the United Arab Emirates and, of course, New Zealand. He won the Tony Quinn Foundation. Tony Quinn watching on. He won the first race at Taupo and took the pole. That was the big surprise. Will Brown has been consistent every time he's raced in the series, but of course he went back to do Bathurst. Got 4th place there.
As you can see, he's holding his pace, which has been set by the safety car previously, as they'll be coming around. The lights are out, so we'll see him very shortly. The safety car lights and boards are off. You can hear them all on the throttle on the exit of the turn.
And away goes Will Brown then, and Schooler's gone with him though, and the pair of them have got the jump on Rashid, and that's good restart from Schooler. It's not often that you're able to stay with the leader as he takes off, because it is his imperative to go when he wants. Through the bus stop then, Schooler trying desperately to hold on to Will Brown. Rashid's recovered.
Yeah, it was a really nice restart there by Zach Schooler, right up in the gearbox of Will Brown. But we've seen the pace out of Will already, pulling a bit of gap. But you've got to remember there's that aero wash, that dirty air from the car behind. So it's so hard to stay in behind the car in front. And Will know that too. He'll know he doesn't need to stress the tyre too hard through that big long loop.
Arvid Lindblad looking very racy behind. Brock Feeney having a look, using the carousel, trying to get the drive here. He might make a go at an overtake at the hairpin. We'll see. He comes through Sting. But these two, the closest on track at the moment, and Lindblad in the #1, the T car, the one that you drove. Now, what can he do with it? He looks to the outside, now cuts back. He's not going to do it there.
It looks like he's got a lot of pace. Obviously, this is a completely different car, but the M2 competition team would have thrown their setup on their car to get themselves ready for this race. They haven't had that pace, which we've seen at other rounds, that dominant pace. But here, he's looking reasonably racy at this point. As you see Feeney there with a slight little lock-up on the way into Lakeside there, but didn't affect him too much. Still managed to make the apex.
Well, as you heard from Arvid, he wants all 5 trophies. Nobody's ever done it. In fact, nobody's actually had 4 in a row, and so 5 would make absolute history. Yes, we talk about Lando Norris, Lance Stroll, and Guan Yu Zhou, and so many, Liam Lawson, but this man has eclipsed them all with his performance so far this season. Had a problem, obviously, with that crash, but he's not out of it by any means.
See how close he is to that white line on the inside of the circuit. The dust is kicking up. Oh, he's in a little moment through there too. You can see the car snap sideways through the middle of the loop, trying to stay as close as he can to Feeney to be able to try and make a move somewhere.
Well, Brock also had a moment in front of him because he just went a little bit wide, got a bit of oversteer as they went through the right-hander. He's lost a bit of time to him here. Moisen Roda waiting in the wings. Shin just behind him in 7th, and then still bowling in 8th.
Sean Rashid here, he's starting to put a bit of pressure on Zach Schooler as well. Rashid's actually just done the fastest first sector of the race, so he is on form in this one. What a race to make your way towards a podium position, the New Zealand Grand Prix. He is doing a great job.
Yeah, and you know what? There's not a lot. 19.6 was that first sector, but 2:10s quicker, and in this tight battle, that's a lot.
Yes, it has changed just a little bit here again. Now it swings the other way. Feeney now under pressure, putting pressure on Rashid, but then also Lindblad sitting there as well. And this is what it's going to be like all races. It's going to be yo-yo between them.
So out of reverse Indy they come. Will Brown in control at the moment. The gap was 0.5. Let's check it again as they cross the line. Will Brown takes it, well, it stays the same. 5.538 for now. Schooler still second. Rashid third. Brock Feeney just behind him. And we continue to watch this battle between Feeney and Lindblad. The Battle of the Bulls, as we've called it.
So we're just getting race radio reports as well that Feeney has just been given a warning for track limits. So you can see the pressure he's under as he locks up down into the air. This is such an easy place to do it. It's really awkward braking down into the air because you're not just dead straight on the brakes, evenly loading the front tires. You're trying to turn the car at the same time. So as you're turning, you're loading the outside tire a bit harder, which then the inside tire generally locks up a lot easier. So it's such a hard one to control the braking down in there. You can't get that optimal brake pressure.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on those track limits. Crosby, oh, here we go. Lindblad looks up the inside. Don't think he's going to pull it off, though. He had a go, though. and that's good driving. But we need to keep an eye on those track limits, because we saw with Crosby, he picked up a penalty, and with 27 laps, it's easy, especially there. That was a moment. But they're all expecting to be careful through there, because that is what was changed on the circuit, and a lot of them were pinged in practice for going over the opening to the bridge.
And just a reminder on that rule and how it works. So you're allowed all 4 wheels, so 2 wheels are still got to be on the white line. So if you're going through a left-hander, your right-hand wheels can run the white line as long as they don't go completely inside that white line. So this is going to be something that's going to come into play as this race goes on. We're going to see other drivers get those track limit warnings, because when you're riding behind someone like that, it's so hard to see those white lines and the track limits through there. You're more or less trusting the car in front and where they're placing their car. So it's a really, really awkward one. But end of the day, it is the same for every driver to make sure they comply with those track limit rules.
While we focus on this, fastest lap of the race so far, Sebastian Manson of New Zealand, 1:30.4. You just get the feeling this is about to explode into a really interesting race. It's interesting all the same at the moment, but it's about to kick off, isn't it?
It is. It's certainly brewing. It's the longest race we have seen all year, as Brock Feeney starts putting a lot more pressure on Rashid as he starts looking
Rashid
inside.
also locked up in 3rd place. That should give Feeney some drive here. Will he make an attempt towards the bridge? This is the perfect way to look at it. You can see his perspective. He jinks to the inside, now thinks better of it, and stays in straight line across the bridge.
There's Rashid there. Did a great job through the chicane up towards the bridge there. Managed to pull a massive gap on Feeney, so it'd be interesting to see if he got any track limit warning there on the right-hander.
Still no change at the front. It was 0.519. It's changed much again as we cross the line, and it is 0.565 now, so it's almost stable as Will Brown sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:30.2. Field starting to spread out now. Roeder dropped all the way back to 15th place, so not good news for the young Aussie, who has such a good start to the weekend. Zoye out, of course, and here he is coming in.
This has just turned into a shocker of a weekend for Highlands here. He's had so much pace.
Yeah,
he
broken
was,
suspension, look.
Yeah, he was the one that took the fight to the bulls in the first race, and you see he had pace to burn. He looked so good in that first race this weekend. So for it to end this way is certainly a bit of a shame, as Lindblad has a bit of a look up the inside. Late dive, had a go, and that's what it's all about. Is it the gaps here, they just sort of yo-yoing at the moment. You'll see Feeney close up on Rashid, and then the other way around, all of a sudden you'll see Lindblad close up on Feeney as well, as there's another lock up there from Feeney.
Let's take that to Greg Russ.
MTech Motorsport all over this car. Patrick Highlands talking to them on the radio. Pat, can you tell you're absolutely gutted, I know. What's happened?
No, I don't really know. I think I just got a snap of oversteer and the wall's so close to the second last corner and I tapped it.
Hard luck. There you go. So it's tapped the wall, guys. Second last corner.
Yeah, and a penalty at the start on the grid. Now he's got bent suspension, having tapped the wall. And a time penalty for Zagazzetta as well, so not good. He's obviously infringed the lines too much. By the way, as it stands at the moment, after 11 of the 27, Schooler would not only be the champion rookie, he would also be the runner-up and pick 14 super license points up. Johnson would be 3rd, and he will take 12. Highlands will maintain his 4th position, but Zagazzetta, after a penalty, well, that will be interesting too. So Zagazzetta has been given a penalty in 9th position. So Brown has upped the pace just slightly, 0.7 now the gap. And that fastest lap, and last time out a 1:29.9. That's the first time we've been in the 29s, and you can see the gap now between he and Schooler. Lindblad still there with Feeney. I have to say, remarkable job by Brock Feeney. He's holding off Lindblad, who, let's face it, is one step away from Formula One, taking nothing away from the 22-year-old, but this isn't his game.
Yeah, it certainly isn't, but he's doing a fantastic job with it, as well as Lindblad once again starts applying a lot of pressure onto the back of Feeney.
Another lap completed. Will Brown has got his head down and is pushing on. He's loving being here in New Zealand. Launched the Triple Eight car this weekend, and it's a big future ahead for he and Brock. No question about it. Says he wouldn't mind having a go at Indy cars, but not sure about ovals.
As we're just getting race radio confirmation as well, Sean Rashid has been giving a track limit warning. So already we're not even halfway through this race, and there are track limit warnings coming into play. This is going to be something that is going to really build a story as the race goes on, and making sure you do not run over those track limits.
Yeah, and, you know, they are giving out the penalties. We mentioned Zagazetti. Well, it's official. 5 seconds is the penalty, and it was at turn 10. So they are being hot on those track limits, as they should be.
Oh, so you can see a lock-up again. I think it's from Rashid there. So Rashid would have been told on the radio about this, the fact that there's the track limit warning, so he will know that he needs to do all he can to try and pull a bit more of a gap, but at the same time it's going to be hard work when you've got two very, very fast drivers in behind you.
Does it play on your mind when you get an instruction like that and make you more cautious, or is it hard to judge anyway?
100% it plays on your mind. You're so worried about it as you arrive to that corner. You've just got to focus on making sure first that you get through there without hitting the white lines, and then second getting through there fast. As normally it's the other way around. You're so focused on your line, making sure you get through there as fast as possible, but naturally as you're coming up to it, you're just thinking, I just got to get through there without a track limit warning before you worry about how quick you are through that part of the track.
So many great stories over the 5 weeks. Will Brown came in and made a real name for himself at Topor, where of course he's won in supercars, but he was a little bit befuddled when he arrived because his braking markers were all so different in a single-seater. He had bruises on his arms, getting his elbows out, getting used to being in a single-seater. Brock Feeney coming here this weekend said he felt like Shane Van Gisbergen in a NASCAR because he's so close to the wheel.
Yeah, it's such a different seating position, and even these cars as well, just how close you do sit to the steering wheel. It works different muscles than you'd otherwise use, and it really is something that the more laps you do, the more those muscles get used to it. Let's just have a look at Rashid's track limits here.
First part of the corner, it'll be, watch this.
As you see him come in there, so he's turned in, so he's got, all 4 wheels are completely
Tell you
over.
what, School was pretty close, and so was Feeney.
Feeney also.
Wow,
so
we'll keep an eye on that.
And that's the thing, you just got to make sure that Feeney has also been penalised with that as well, because it's what's fair for one is fair for all.
Yep.
So keep an eye on that as well, as I'm sure Feeney will be getting warnings as well about track limits.
Nowhere to hide in modern motorsport. We've got the data, we've got the visuals, we've got the replays, and we've got Joe in the air.
That's with the drone. He's got some fantastic shots of this Grand Prix.
Really good stuff. He's been doing a superb job throughout the weekend. There's Hannah, our cameraman, giving us the insight into these races. And the gap now has come down by Schooler, and it's now down to 0.4. Now, whether that's significant or not, it was just 0.7 a couple of laps ago. You see it for yourself visually, but officially 0.4. So Schooler doing a good job of staying with Brown, who's set the fastest lap so far. But Schooler staying with him and really doing a job, this young 17-year-old. He's been a bit cagey about what he's doing next season, but we know he's going back to Europe. Dad's here, bit of a surprise visit. Mum's been here most of the season, and it's been a fun trip for both of them. Sat down with Zach, and he was almost... Oh, here comes Arvid! Has he got him this time? No, he keeps making that move, not able to make it stick.
Yeah, he's coming from quite a far way back, but he's doing all he can in that situation. He's throwing it in hard, but just not quite close enough when he's starting the move. But at the same time, you've got to think of Brock there. He's got to open the wheel just that little bit, so he's having to look into his mirror a lot as he goes into that corner.
Feeney locking up again, Brown locking up this time. Shin right there with the number 1. That is Arvid Lindblad. What a great story for this 17-year-old Brit. Has 3 different national flags on his helmet. The Indian, the British flag, or the English flag, actually. And, of course, his father's Swedish flag.
See them smash the curves through the bus stop. You've got to use every curve through there. And at the same time, as you're turning into there, you just got to really focus on making sure the car doesn't bounce funny as you go through it.
He's got through on Rashid, and now Lindblad's all over him. So he's finally done it, and Rashid now under pressure from Lindblad. And Lindblad will want past quick. He looks at the inside of the carousel, can't do it there. And now it'll be interesting to see what Brock Feeney can do from here. Lindblad looking now, a little damage there to the front of, well, I say damage, but looks like the top of the cover there is loose. Oh, and a mistake! Big mistake by Feeney. And he drops back 2 places. Arvid Lindblad moves forward, and Shin's got past Feeney as well.
No, this is just not going Feeney's way at all. Just locked up on his way down into the forest hairpin there. And he's dropped back another position as Lindblad now has all sorts of pressure on the back of Rashid. So that little bit of damage as such that's on Rashid's car. It's actually the, as you look at it, there's actually a little bonnet on the front of the car there, which houses the suspension. So underneath there,
but it shouldn't really do anything, should it?
It's not ideal having that air going through there.
No, true.
And at the same time, though, as Rashid will see that from his cockpit, he'll know that that's starting to come up. So that'll be just putting him off just a little bit.
Could the stewards bring him in?
I don't think it's in a situation where it's affecting or it's a dangerous thing at the moment. It's certainly something to watch. But he will be able to notice it.
Will, yeah.
Because you've got to remember, you're sitting so low in the car, so if anything like that is sitting up a bit higher than normal, it's affecting your vision as well. So in the high-speed parts of the track, you can really see the air creep up underneath it.
Well, we just heard from race control, a drive-through penalty for the Peruvian, Zagazeta, in 9th at the moment, and that will move Sebastian Manson up the field.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough one to get that drive-through penalty, so that'll certainly take him well out of contention.
16 of the 27 gone. You're watching the New Zealand Grand Prix, 69th running of it. So much history, and it is one of the jewels in the crown of motorsport here in this country, and it's a huge tradition. So many greats have come here back in the Tasman Series days and raced here. That's what they used to do, was come in the European winter and enjoy the New Zealand summer, and we're still doing it to this day.
This gap's just held pretty solid right from that restart. We saw Will initially, as the race started, pull a reasonable gap, but this time round it's sort of not done that. As I should say that, Will's just gone and done the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah.
He's cracked into the 29s, 29.9.
Yeah, very impressive, and you can see the gap yourself as we are high above the bus stop. Well, Will Brown is keeping his cool, isn't he?
Yep, he's doing a fantastic job leading this race at the moment with 10 laps remaining.
Zagazeta, it looks as though he's making his way into the pits, and, well, this is as close as Arvid Lindblad has been to Sean Rashid of the USA, Britain versus the US. Lindblad's always good at this stage. Now, he made a few pops here, Zagazeta. He made a few pops at getting in and out, so he's done his penalty. But Lindblad likes to make a move coming up at this next corner. Now, will he be close enough? He's fairly close. Will he pop? And he's looking for it. Here he goes.
Fired it in.
Oh, and he gets a lock up. Does he touch Rashid? Well, either way, he's got through. And that should do it, unless Rashid can come back at him. Side by side, the drag race to the bridge. Arvid Lindblad keeps his foot in, and the Red Bull man makes it through, and that's why he's the champion, folks.
That was a good move by him to get up the inside. It was hard to see from that angle if there was any contact between them. But now the next person in his sights is Zach Schooler with 10 laps remaining. We'll just keep an eye on his lap times. Obviously, this one isn't going to be representative because he's just made the move. The next lap around, as we look at the lap times, a 1:30.1 for Will Brown in that last lap.
0.8 the gap between he and Schooler. Lindblad 5 seconds adrift in third. A long way to go for him to catch that gap up, but it's possible. You never know in the Grand Prix. The one thing I've learned is never to say, oh, it's all over with 5 to go.
Yeah, you just never know. It's especially around Highlands here, something always gets thrown up at the end of the race.
Will Brown, though, doing a really good job, as is this man, Arvid Lindblad. It's amazing what M2 have done. We should mention that fact. Half an hour ago, before the race, that car did not look like that, I can assure you. I was down in the pits watching them put it together, and even though it was a made-up car, i.e. it was a T car, as we call it, the spare car for the series, all the team managers having to agree to let him run, and that was something I also witnessed, but I think it was fair for him. It wasn't his fault that he got involved in an accident. He didn't cause it. Oysenroda, unfortunately, given the penalty for that. Now Arvid given a chance to have a go at the Grand Prix and for all 5 trophies. But work to do. Schooler trying desperately to stay with Brown, who absolutely is in the zone at the moment, Will Brown. And what a moment it would be. He's won so much, but what a purple patch. You talk about golfers being in the zone. I mean, this guy has done it all.
Yeah, and just been looking at the laps as the sectors as we roll through. So Arvid Lindblad was a 10th quicker than Will Brown on the first sector, 2 tenths quicker than him on the second sector. So far in this lap, he's pulled 3 tenths out of him. But then he must have made a mistake on the last sector, as the lap time overall was about exactly the same as Will Brown. But he did pull 2 tenths of a second out of Zach Schooler. So he has caught him slightly on that last lap, but not a huge amount of pace in that car that I thought he may have had to compare to the guys in front.
Well, it's a great story, and for those of you who like your trivia, you'll look at that lid of Brown's and go, that's not his usual lid. Well, it isn't. He had to borrow one from Lawson. He had one sort of number wrong. There was nothing wrong with the helmet. It's a simple car helmet. Nothing wrong with that. But amazingly, we know one thing now. Lawson and he had the same head size, because graciously Liam Lawson lent him his helmet just as he lent his boots to Max Verstappen at Baku. But yeah, so Will Brown has been carrying the silver third on his helmet of Liam Lawson. So just a nice little bit of trivia there. If he wins the Grand Prix, maybe he'll thank Liam as well.
Yep, he's certainly got his work cut out if he's going to want to win this Grand Prix. Is that the first sector again, same lap times as the guys in front, but he has just pulled 2 tenths out of Schooler in sector number 2.
Well, Feeney hasn't recovered. He stays 6. And Nikita Johnson hasn't been able to do what he wanted to do, which was to come forward. He's still in 8th position. And with Schooler there in 2nd, it's going to be Schooler's runner-up position. And I think Schooler could just not take it easy, but certainly stay where he is and get the best out of this. But never say never, he would love to win the Grand Prix, just as everybody else does.
Lindblad is on fire. He has just pulled 4 tenths of a second out of Zach Schooler up ahead, so he's closed that gap up massively. He is on fire, setting the fastest lap of the race.
Statty's got a 5-second penalty, and I'm guessing that is for, again, track limits, because there wasn't any altercation that I saw. Statty currently in 12th position, but they are definitely clamping down, as they should, on track limits here, and the Australian falls foul to the rules. What a lap that was by Arvid Lindblad. He has been just a revelation. We got the announcement in late December that he was coming, and I looked at the form guide beforehand and thought, oh, this is going to be an Open Championship. Then they announced Lindblad, and we went, oh, it's going to be all one-way traffic. And in some ways, it has proved that way. But every driver I've spoken to said, you know what? I'm delighted he's here. I can tell where I stand now against one of the very best in the world.
100%. You won't have many guys that are going, oh, why is he here part of this championship? They want to be racing against the best. They want to match themselves up against the best there are. And, you know, to be able to go out and beat them as well, certainly is a nice tick in the box for when you're looking for a seat later on this season to go and show what you're quite capable of.
Yes, well, one man who'll be watching this closely will be Richard Verschoor, because he'll be taking him on in Formula 2. Of course, Arvid Lindblad will be racing for Campus, and Richard Verschoor starts his, I think, 5th year in Formula 2, and we've got some big names in that. Jack Crawford coming back as well, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting F2 season.
Lindblad pulled another 4 tenths of a second out of Zach Schooler on that last lap. He is closing in super fast.
Running out of laps though, 21 on the 27. It's going to be close. It depends really now on that tyre deck we mentioned. And certainly Lindblad is not showing any signs of slowing down, and he is managing tyres well. He's got a smooth line. I mean, you see him working the wheel, but the car doesn't move around. There's no lockups. You know, you see Feeney and you see Brown as he takes a strip off his visor, but you see them locking up here and there in every other corner, whereas Lindblad has got that typical single-seater smoothness.
Yeah, another thing to note as well is Will Brown is just starting to open up that gap just a little bit. It's sort of been well within a second, but now it's certainly opening up just that little bit more as Zach Schooler, I wouldn't say under pressure yet from Lindblad, but we give it another lap or two, and it's going to start closing up a little bit more as we look at the sectors again. yeah, another at least 3/10 so far. This lap he's closing it up.
3.2 seconds he's off at the moment. This isn't over, folks, by any means whatsoever. A man who grew up in Surrey, Ollie Rowland, is his mentor, and I'm sure Ollie's watching back in Europe, unless he's getting ready for another test in Formula E.
Another penalty for Matthias Sagazeta.
Oh.
He's now got to come into the lane and do a 10-second stop-go penalty for exceeding track limits again.
I'll tell you what, Andrew, watching Schooler's body language, and I'm talking about the car rather than his, he looks as though he's losing grip quickly. He slid through the exit of 1 and 2 there, and, well, the facts don't lie. He is getting closer, Arvid Lindblad, but Schooler is hanging on now. Let's head down to Greg Rust.
Jonathan, just looking at some statistics for the summer, and there are plenty of them. Just pause and consider this. If, and I say if, Will Brown keeps doing what he's doing, it'll be his first win in CTFROC in this series. What a race to do it in. And similarly, for the very successful Giles Motorsport team, it may have been a bit of a drier summer. That would break the drought for them. Really cool stat if this happens.
Sorry, just as we're coming back to shot there, Lindblad was sideways through the chicane, up over the bridge. He is hustling that car. Look at him up over here. So he's turned it in, and then the rear just didn't stick as nice as he would have liked.
Oh, that is so good.
And sliding his way through.
Well, he's a Red Bull Junior, and that was Max-esque, so to speak. And he really is the next on the list. 4 drivers have been named. No reserve driver for the RB team, and Sonoda named as the Red Bull backup reserve driver just in case Lawson or Verstappen have a problem. And so this man is the next in line, very much so, and you can understand why. Now the gap between Will Brown and Zach Schooler is now 1.1 seconds. So Brown's done a good job with just 5 laps to go of just putting a little bit of space between them.
That last lap, Will Brown actually lost 0.3 of a second on Zach Schooler, so he did start opening that gap out, but whether it's a mistake or what was going on there, certainly come back the other way, and Will Brown just not holding that gap quite like he did on that last lap. But just looking at the sectors as well, Will Brown again has lost another 2/10 on the first sector.
Just wonder, never done this length of distance in a single seater as Will Brown nor Brock Feeney. Could that be a little bit of fatigue coming in?
It's nothing against the level of driving that these guys do and how fit they are, but they haven't been in this car for 5 weeks straight because the steering's so close, because you're so laid back, your feet are higher than any other car. It's muscles that you don't use.
Right, that's my point, yeah.
And so, you know, that's where you see the other guys that have done every single week, and they've been on the track on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every week for 5 weeks. They have built up muscle memory and muscle in places you wouldn't otherwise have. So, you know, and I'm not saying that Will's not fit. All these guys are super, super fit drivers, but, you know, using muscles that you don't normally use is something to consider.
Well, either one of these two, and even Lindblad in third, would be an amazing result. Simply, like you say, Will Brown's yet to win a race. This is Tony Quinn's track, and he invested 70,000 into this young man, the 17-year-old, that is Zach Schooler, because he won the shootout against Manson and Crosby to go racing here, hence the foundation on the side of the car. So that would be a very neat story. And of course, if Lindblad was to go to better than he is right now, well, he would create history. Let's head down to Greg Rust.
You guys have been pondering the Will Brown scenario. I know we've been keeping an eye on the Giles Motorsport crew. Let's just go to the other side of the story, and that is Zach Schooler. So I've just been down to the MTech Motorsport team, had a word to Bruin Beasley. He said, look, we've done our fastest lap in the last couple of laps. He's coming on, but he's worried they may run out of laps to do this. He's done a very good job here, Zach Schooler, to manage the rubber, to manage it to this point of the race.
Yeah, absolutely right. There's no question about it. Schooler is on it at the moment. And you can see by the way he's working the hands on the wheel just how much he's having to fight the car now in the closing stages of this one as another lap is completed. 25 of the 27. Let's take a look at the gap. It was 1.025. It's now 1.3. So Will Brown has reacted well.
We take that back. Will Brown's just done his fastest lap of the race. So he has certainly got something to fight with at the moment. But, you know, just back to that point on it's a comment that a lot of drivers make when they first get into this car, just how heavy the steering is. Normally you're used to seeing that heavy steering in high aero corners, but even low speed, it's super heavy. As you're trying to turn the wheel right there and get the most load onto it, it's very, very heavy in the front end.
This has been a superb run by Will Brown. It's been a great season. He has only done a partial season, remember. Quad lock, same sponsors, of course, that he has in supercars. And that's another thing to think about. Everybody thinks that because Tony Quinn has a part of this circuit that, you know, it was just an easy phone call. Well, that's not the case. Will Brown got the Shorten partners plus Quad Lock and all of the other sponsors that back him to put him into this situation. So hats off to them, and hats off to Will Brown to give it a go.
Yeah, for sure. And to, you know, put his reputation on the line to come over and do this. And he's locked up just off the bridge there. So he is certainly pushing on. There's only 2 laps to go, but it's still a mistake from him.
Yep. And that tyre won't be liking that much. So then, let's see what the lap time is. Let's head down to Greg Rust.
Sneaked a quick word with Stephen Giles, and he says he's just managing. Will Brown is just managing this situation. He's good. There's nothing on the radio. The Supercars champion is delivering here. So that's the other side of that battle with Zach Schooler. Brownie's got it under control, or so it would seem.
And the data says the same. 1.649 now, the gap. So he's upped it again by another 3/10. His last lap, a 1:29.6, a 1:29.9 by Schooler. Schooler's going to be runner-up in the championship. Nothing to be shy of at all, and as well as being the top rookie. It's been a sensational season for Zach Schooler, who, let's face it, Andrew, has made a name for himself here at his home in New Zealand.
He's done a fantastic job. He's certainly put his name out there that he's one of the fast guys, and you know, he's capable of a lot of great things. He had a dip mid-season in terms of pace, but he has come back here fighting to be sitting in second position in a Red Bull sandwich currently.
No question. Oh, and a lock-up from Lindblad as he pushes on. He's 1.9 seconds behind, but he is trying everything in the book to try to make something happen here, but he's running out of time to do so here on the penultimate lap. Now it's a case of concentration, and Andrew, you know all too well when the fatigue starts to come in, when you feel the finish line, you start to think about what's coming next, and that's where you can make a mistake.
And just on that as well, race radio called through that Zach Schooler's on his second warning for track limits. He's got no more lives left. He needs to stay within track limits as Will Brown comes across the line to receive the last lap board for the New Zealand Grand Prix.
It's the last lap, and Will Brown is going to make history as a supercar driver, just like Shane Van Gisbergen at the time back in 2021, but it was also different back in COVID. That was a special race for New Zealanders, and I know that Shane is watching right now, and he'll be really, really pleased for Will Brown, and Australian fans can really tip their hat to this young 26-year-old who's a hero back home in Australia and now is about to create history here in New Zealand. What a way to get your first win.
Not bad at all. The last Australian was Warwick Brown back in 1975 to win the New Zealand Grand Prix.
So then, tense time for Will Brown. He's a cool, laid-back customer. Always good for a chat. He's been so gracious with all the media since he arrived here, and always willing to sit down and have a chat with you about his feelings, and he deserves this, to be fair. And it was going to be a straight fight with him and Brock from the start. He won that, and since then, he's held off. He jumps beautifully into the air on the last lap. Doesn't lock up this time, holds it nice and tight. Schooler will follow him home as close as he can. And Lindblad has caught up in the closing stages, and it's going to be a wonderful finish. And where there is a will, there is a way. What a way to do it. Will Brown wins the New Zealand Grand Prix of 2025, the 69th running of this famous and prestigious event. What a win.
Super impressive drive to come away with the New Zealand Grand Prix like that. And there goes Brock Feeney across the line. Wasn't the race that he wanted, coming home in 6th position, but Will Brown dominant right from the start. Got that lead, managed the race beautifully to take out the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix.
Schooler takes the rookie championship and the runner-up spot and 14 super license points. Lindblad takes 3rd as well as the championship. Another podium. He has hardly been off it throughout this season. So, confirmation, Will Brand of Australia wins the Grand Prix. And Zach Schooler takes second place. Your podium sees Arvid Lindblad of Great Britain also there. Rashid takes fourth place. Good run by him for the USA. Michael Shin takes fifth. He was third last year, so pretty good run by the South Korean. Brock Feeney just behind him. Then Bowling, Johnson, Manson, Crosby top 10. A little further down in 11, Nicolas Stati. Then Montiero, Wolf, Zagazeta, Lawley, and Huizenroda, Enzo Ye crashing out. Highlights! And it was a run. Drag race to the start, but it was all Will Brand. Zach Schooler was the one that gained the most. He got up to second place. And half a second he built, and there was all sorts going behind. Brock Feeney all over the back. Rashid, then Lindblad there too. It was all happening early on. Then Enzo Ye made a mistake, went off, and then tried to come back on, but that was a mistake because he ended up touching Lawley, who went into the pits after that and had to have repairs with a bent suspension. We had a safety car at the restart. Once again, Will Brand pulled away. Schooler went with him, and Rashid stayed third. And there was definitely some track violations of limits to the track, and a lot of people pinged for that. But Schooler kept his head and fought his way. Rashid, Brock Feeney all in a battle, and then that bolt came loose for Rashid, but it didn't stop him. Arvid Lindblad finally getting through on Rashid. A daredevil move by the man of the moment. And how about that? Little sideways action for the Red Bull man as he enters the bridge section. But Schooler, try as he might, got within half a second, was probably the closest he did. But Will Brand had it in control. Jumped for the last lap, and now jumping for joy as the New Zealand Grand Prix winner of 2025.
And that P2 position there as well consolidates Zach Schooler into P2 for the championship as well. So great effort by him to round off the championship here in second position.
Good crowd as always, and they are big motorsports aficionados. Doesn't matter whether it's Formula Ford or CTFROC or GTs. They love their racing here in New Zealand. And now there's a big crowd gathered to greet him when he gets out the car. I'll tell you what, Red Bull have had their fill this season, haven't they, with Lindblad and now Will Brand. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it certainly is. It'd be such a good feeling for Will after that long race coming in to park up in front of that #1 sign as a New Zealand Grand Prix winner.
I wonder if he's quietly thinking, what else could I do in single seaters? Or like Shane, what else could I race?
Yep, he's just another hardcore racer that's happy to race anything he possibly can. But that one on your CV, a Grand Prix winner, is pretty special.
And there's that bell helmet with the Lawson logo and the fern. So, yeah, a little bit of a special moment. Lawson, of course, a Grand Prix winner himself. He's a great guy, and we'll see some of that personality in a moment. But that was a superb win, and reuniting with Stephen Giles, who he's raced with in his early days, I think of Formula 4. So just a great moment for the Giles team. They deserve that. They've been a long time member of this fraternity that is TRS. Schooler shakes his hand in the most sportsman-like way. And Will Brand waves to the crowd. And that says it all. That is a popular win. Well done, Will Brand. Quite rightly, he opens a Red Bull and he sees Arvid coming in. Well done to Arvid Lindblad. He tried everything in the book, didn't he? No question about it. Well, he's milking the sponsorship, that's for sure. But well done to Arvid. That was a really good run by him, and wasn't to be.
No, I was worn out in 5 laps in because I was so stressed. I was trying to get away from you.
Yeah, just listening in there, he was just saying he was pretty exhausted. Let's head down to Stephen McIver.
Thank you, team. All right, time to talk to the winner of the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix, Will Brown. You were very nervous on the grid before the race. Hell of a start, man.
Yeah, that's what I was nervous about. It was running through my head for about the last 3 hours how to get a good start here and if I can beat Brock off the line. And then I thought I could manage a race from there. I had a big moment on lap 1 going through turn 10 there over the bridge and got a bad sportsmanship flag, so I couldn't cut there anymore, so I had to just manage it from there. But Zach was super fast. He was always there, didn't want to make a mistake, but yeah, it was a cool race. Pretty cool to win a Grand Prix.
Mate, yeah, one of two outside of Formula One. The restart, you go, oh, come on.
Yeah, I was able to manage a really good lead in that first lap. I was able to build a second or two there, and I was hoping it stayed that way, but then I saw the safety car come out, and I thought, oh, this won't be real good, but able to build a bit more of a gap and, like I say, manage it and stay out in the lead.
Mate, you joined some legendary Formula One names on that trophy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. This category's been great. I've loved racing out here in the open wheelers again. All the New Zealand fans have been great, and I'd like to say a massive thank you to Red Bull, who sponsored me for this weekend, Quadlock, Shaw and Partners, all my sponsors that have made this happen.
All right, go soak up. There's a podium presentation to do shortly.
Cheers, thank you.
And in P2, Rookie of the Year, and also P2 in the championship, which was what this was all about once Arvid had won the championship. How do you feel, man?
Man, it's so special, you know. The goal was to get a good launch off the line, which we did. Ended up getting into P2, and then Brock gave us a bit of a challenge at the start, so we were defending from him, and Will got away a bit, and then a bit close with the safety car, but just couldn't quite get close enough.
I mean, did you surprise yourself with that start? Because that was mean.
I mean, I've been like working on it all like this whole 5 weeks, trying to get that good start, and you know, we executed it in that race, got a good launch, got straight into P2, and made it count when we needed to.
14 super license points, that goes with the P2 in the championship. Everybody's asking, what's next for Zach School? Are you going to give us a scoop?
You'll see in the next week.
Oh, come on, mate.
One more week.
All right, well done. Congratulations. It's been great having you here, mate.
Thank you so much.
And in P3, the current champion, Arvid Lindblad, who bore the number one. Arvid, man, good chase. You were getting close, man. You were dragging them in.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I mean, the start wasn't easy. It was just a bit of a mess, and ended up losing a spot. And then, as we know, the nature of these tracks is not easy to pass. It was difficult because Brock was quite quick, but Sean wasn't, so we were kind of stuck. And then it all kind of kicked off, and there was a way for me to get through. And I knew I was fast. And then as soon as I got into third, I think, I was coming at the guys in front insanely quickly. And full credit to the team, because they gave me an amazing car today in this race. It's a shame that we weren't able to find this earlier in the week, because I believe if we had this package earlier on, we would have dominated like the other weekends. But anyway, well done to Will and well done to Zach, and I'm just happy to finish a championship like this.
Yeah, you've achieved what you set out to do. But donuts, hey, how much fun just simply going out there and releasing all that energy and doing some donuts?
Yeah, no, I heard that the guy that wins the championship, I think, is allowed to do donuts. If you're not, then well, whatever, I did them anyway. So yeah, no, I thought, yeah, why not? It's a bit of fun.
Mate, it's been good having you. I think we're all excited about what stands in front of you with F2 and potentially F1, and we will watch with a lot of pleasure since you came here and entertained us.
Thank you very much.
So, all right, it's time now for the presentation, the pony for the feature race in the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship here at the Highlands Motorsport Park in Comron. It's the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix. So let's get on with it. We'll start in third place, and the third place trophies and checks will be presented by Chris Stark, the marketing manager of Toyota Financial Services. And in third place from Great Britain, Arvid Lindblad. Now, the Grand Prix plates will be presented by Mark Mallard, Motorsport New Zealand board member, as we move on to second place, and the trophies and checks presented by Andrew Hutchinson, area manager for Castrol New Zealand. And in second place, Rookie of the Year from New Zealand, Zach Schooler. Now, before we present the Motor Cup Grand Prix trophy, I'd like to ask your winner of the 69th Grand Prix, Will Brown, to step up onto the top pony for winning the 69th Grand Prix, the first Australian to win it since 1975. And the champion's wreath will be presented by Liam Skeets, who won this Grand Prix last year. That is the champion's wreath for winning the Grand Prix. And presenting the Motor Cup Grand Prix trophy is Deb Day, the Motorsport New Zealand president. And of course, your winner of the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix from Australia, Will Brown. So there is your official podium. Now, folks, we'll just stand ready. If you've got a hat on, it would be nice to take it off as we get ready for the national anthem of Australia. can assure you that was played, the national anthem of Australia, and there is your official podium. Now what we'll do is we're going to get the trophies and the checks to be taken away in just a moment. One more final photo, which is important, with the top of the trophy on. Big moment for Giles Motorsport as well. They broke their duck at first win, but that win is a big one. It's the 69th New Zealand Grand Prix, so Stephen Giles and the team will be extremely excited about that. So now, gentlemen, we'll take the trophies and we'll take the checks away. And quite rightly, they'll be able to spray some champagne to celebrate the 69th running of the New Zealand Grand Prix. Your champion, Will Brown.